NFL draft is about a month away, and so I thought it'd be fun to go through and do our first mock draft of mock draft season. But before we get into the video, I wanted to ask you to please subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications. It really helps us out. If you're a fan of the NFL, you'll love this channel as we release new videos every Tuesday and Friday all year long. Now let's get back to the video. Starting off with number 1, we have Caleb Williams. We're not going to overthink this. The Bears have traded away Justin Fields. They need a quarterback. Caleb Williams might not be as much of a slam dunk as he was thought to be at one point in time, but I still expect him to go number 1. At number 2, we got Drake May. Drake May to the Commanders just makes sense. Again, another team that really needs a quarterback. This could very easily be Jaden Daniels too, and I think a lot of people are expecting it to be Daniels, but I've thought May for a while. I'm still sticking with it, but yeah, this is May or Daniels. Again, the top 3 quarterbacks are really 1, 2, 3 in my opinion. And that leads us to number 3, Jaden Daniels to the New England Patriots. At the end of the day, I think they're taking whomever of May, Daniels, and Caleb Williams is not drafted by this pick in the draft. I think all 3 are taking a quarterback. Number 4 is where the draft really opens up, and I have the Arizona Cardinals selecting Marvin Harrison Jr. He's the best non-QB on almost everybody's draft boards, the number 1 overall player on most people's draft boards, and this just makes sense for a Cardinals team that has lost DeAndre Hopkins and Hollywood Brown in recent years. The real question here is, do they trade out of this pick? I don't have them trading out because I think they do prioritize a player of Harrison Jr.'s caliber, but they could absolutely trade out here with probably the Vikings, who we're going to get to shortly. And by shortly, I mean right now, because at number 5, I have the Vikings taking J.J. McCarthy using both their first-round picks to trade up with the Chargers. The Vikings did not go and get a late first-round pick from the Houston Texans in order to not trade up in this draft to take a quarterback. It's likely they're looking at J.J. McCarthy, though this could be Michael Penix Jr. or Bo Nix too, if those are the quarterbacks that they're enamored with. But at the end of the day, J.J. McCarthy is the widely speculated target of the Vikings, and I have him going number 5 there. At number 6, I have the Giants taking Malik Neighbors in an absolute slam dunk. The Giants have not had a receiver since what, like Victor Cruz a decade ago? They need to give Daniel Jones some receiving options, though I don't know how much it'll help with Daniel Jones. Either way, Malik Neighbors, this just makes too much sense taking a wide receiver in the first round for the Giants. At number 7, I have the Titans taking Joe Alt. Joe Alt is the top offensive tackle on the board, and the Titans, having already selected Peter Skoronski in last year's first round, are going to have 2 bookend tackles to build off of moving forward. Sadly, they won't have Derrick Henry to run behind them, but if you have a top-tier offensive line, you can go far in today's NFL. At number 8, I have the Falcons taking Dallas Turner. This pick makes way too much sense. The Falcons have spent so many top picks on offensive players in recent years, and with the signing of Kirk Cousins, they have a player to throw to all those weapons. And so now, Raheem Morris, first-year defensive-minded head coach, can go and select the top defensive prospect at number 8 in the draft. This is an absolute win for the Falcons and Raheem Morris, and I think it's a match made in heaven. At number 9, we have our next defender off the board, edge rusher Jared Verse, going to the Chicago Bears with their 2nd first-round pick, both in the top 10, which is absolutely crazy. He's going to play end on the opposite side of Montez Sweat and really start to improve this defense in Chicago, a team that is always known to have a hard-nosed defense. At number 10, I have Brock Bowers going to the New York Jets. This pick kind of makes sense to me. I would have thought they would have gone offensive line prior to free agency, but they signed Tyron Smith. They traded for the Ravens right tackle, and now they kind of have their offensive line somewhat in order, but they can get a tight end who helps in the receiving game along with the newly signed Mike Williams and Garrett Wilson, while also helping with the run game and blocking game alongside those new offensive tackles. So this just makes sense when you have a really good defense, but you do need to build an offense ASAP around Aaron Rodgers. At number 11, I have the Chargers taking Rome Odunze with the first of the 2 picks they attained from the Vikings in the first round per my earlier discussed trade. Rome Odunze dropping to the Chargers would be an absolute coup for this team. They have lost Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, and Quentin Johnson, a first round pick last year at wide receiver, hasn't really worked out. So they absolutely are desperate for a wide receiver, and if Rome Odunze, a projected top 10 prospect, can drop to them at 11, this would be an absolute coup, and Chargers fans, they might not get Marvin Harrison Jr., but I don't think they're going to be too upset. At number 12, I have the Denver Broncos taking quarterback Bo Nix out of Oregon. This just makes too much sense. The Broncos are paying so much cap space to Russell Wilson for the next 2 seasons and don't really have a quarterback on their roster. They need to draft a quarterback. If Nix is available, he's the guy I expect them to like. And the best part, rookie quarterbacks are cheap. and that means that they don't have to pay a lot to him, and they can still eat the Russell Wilson contract. It also helps that Bo Nix is a little bit older, meaning he has a little bit more seasoning and might be more NFL ready than a Michael Penix Jr. or even a J.J. McCarthy were they to try to move up and get him. At number 13, I have the Las Vegas Raiders taking J.C. Latham. The Raiders just seem like a team that are trying to build in the trenches. That very much so seems like Antonio Pierce's style. They went out and signed Christian Wilkins in free agency. They have Max Crosby, and so they got their defensive line in sorts. And now, let's start with the offensive line with J.C. Latham in the first round of the 2024 draft. At number 14, I have the New Orleans Saints taking a guy, I'm sorry if I pronounced this wrong, Fashanu at offensive tackle. And this is a theme throughout the rest of this video. There's going to be a lot of offensive tackles taken in these mid-rounds with how good these prospects are and how many teams are desperately in need of offensive tackle help. This is just a perfect fit for the Saints, who really need to build an offensive line that they've kind of lost over the years just due to players aging out. At number 15, I have Quincy Mitchell going to the Indianapolis Colts as the first cornerback off the board. I'm pretty confident the Colts are going to target a cornerback. There's already a lot of rumors that they're trying to trade for L'Jarius Sneed from the Kansas City Chiefs. And if you look at this team, they have a pretty solid offense. They have a pretty decent defense outside of corner. And so because of that, this just makes a ton of sense to improve at the cornerback position. And this is just the guy I expect them to take. But at the end of the day, any cornerback on the board could go to the Colts here. I just expect it to be corner. At number 16, I have the Seattle Seahawks taking Latu Latu at edge rusher. This pick just goes in line with their new head coach, Mike Macdonald, former defensive coordinator of the Baltimore Ravens, who just loves to mix and match a pass rush. They already re-signed Leonard Williams, and bringing in a top-tier young pass rusher like Latu absolutely helped to bolster just a pass rush that changes the game and really brings back Legion of Boom 2.0 in Seattle. At 17, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars bringing in Terion Arnold, the second cornerback off the board, trying to replace the hole that's been left by Jalen Ramsey for really the past half decade since he was traded away to the Rams. Terion Arnold is absolutely a stud out of Alabama. He makes a ton of sense in a Jaguars team that has a pretty solid offense, has spent some money on the offensive line and the skill positions, and also has some good pass rush with Josh Allen, but really needs a secondary. So Terion Arnold just fits this bill. At number 18, I have the Cincinnati Bengals taking, and I'm sorry if I butcher this, Fuaga out of Oregon State at offensive tackle. This is not a pick I'm as confident in as when I originally made this, because now this team has Orlando Brown and Trent Brown to bookend their offensive tackle position. But I think Fuaga can move inside to an interior offensive line, and the Cincinnati Bengals are always in need of offensive linemen, and getting another top tier one, even if it's injury replacement, could make a lot of sense for a team that's kind of pretty well rounded outside of this position. At number 19, I have the Los Angeles Rams taking Byron Murphy, the number one interior defensive lineman, to try to replace Aaron Donald. Now let's be clear. You can never truly replace Aaron Donald. But given Donald resigned after most of the free agent transactions took place and a guy like Christian Wilkins had already been signed, the best place for the Rams to fill this hole that they didn't know they were going to need to fill on their roster is through the draft by taking the number one player in this position. It just makes too much sense. At number 20, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers taking Tyler Guyton, offensive tackle. This just makes sense for a Steelers team that likes to be very hard-nosed. Their defense is solid. They've added Russell Wilson. They got some receivers. They got some running backs. Getting a big offensive lineman to help them be that hard-nosed team makes a lot of sense to me. And again, there's a lot of offensive tackles in this range who fit into this mid-first round in this draft. At number 21, I have the Miami Dolphins taking Graham Barton, offensive lineman. He could play outside, but more likely projects to be an interior offensive lineman and a good replacement for Robert Hunt, who left to the Carolina Panthers in free agency. They could also go after a Byron Murphy and try to replace Christian Wilkins, who also left in free agency, but at the end of the day, I had him going 2 picks earlier, and improving the offensive line with all the offensive weapons that the Dolphins have, that just kind of makes sense to me. At number 22, I have the Philadelphia Eagles taking cornerback Nate Wiggins out of Clemson, and this is just an automatic cornerback pick for me. This is the one position the Eagles really struggled with last year and did not really improve through free agency, and so I expect them to go after any cornerback, whether that be Nate Wiggins, Cooper DeJean, KoolAid McKinney, or one of the guys I have previously taken on this mock draft, like a Terion Arnold or a Quincy Mitchell. Either way, I expect the Eagles to go cornerback at 22. At 23, I have the Chargers with their second pick from the Minnesota Vikings, selecting Marius Mims, offensive tackle out of Georgia. Again, there's a lot of offensive linemen in this draft, and the Chargers are heavily linked to Joe Alt along with some of the wide receivers. That's because the Chargers under Jim Harbaugh are really looking to play tough, hard-nosed football. And so while they already have a top-tier offensive tackle in Rashawn Slater, getting another one to play at right tackle like Mims could is an absolute great pick for the Chargers. At number 24, I have the Dallas Cowboys taking Jackson Powers-Johnson. Now, yes, Powers-Johnson is a center, and it's likely that the Cowboys need an outside offensive lineman after the loss of Tyron Smith to the Jets in free agency. But the problem is most of those top outside offensive linemen have already been taken at this point in my mock draft. And so the Cowboys, who still like to build interior offensive linemen, could definitely go after a guy like Jackson Powers-Johnson, who they could have play at center or at one of the guard positions. And Jerry Jones has always loved to build great offensive lines. I don't see that changing here. This just seems like a really good pick for a Cowboys team that has a very solid defense and good skill position players, but maybe not as good of offensive line as they used to have when Zeke was running behind them. At 25, I have the Green Bay Packers going for edge rusher Chop Robinson. Now, this is a pick that I could very much so see them going offensive tackle as well, but again, most of the top offensive tackles have already been taken, and so the Packers also need some better edge rushing. This is not a position of strength for the team, and Chop Robinson just makes a lot of sense here. Is probably the best pass rusher available at this point in the draft and would fit seamlessly in with the Green Bay Packer defense. At number 26, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers selecting another edge rusher with the last name Robinson, Darius Robinson out of Missouri. Now, this is a team that I can see going many different directions. They could go cornerback to try to replace Carlton Davis. They could go wide receiver to have someone in the pipeline to eventually replace Mike Evans. They could go offensive line where they have some people, but also some aging guys and some stopgap places. But here, I have them going with Darius Robinson, an edge rusher who can help improve their defense. At 27, I have the Cardinals with their second first-round pick taking KoolAid McKinney. And wouldn't this be fun to see? A top-tier corner like KoolAid McKinney going one-on-one against Marvin Harrison Jr. in practice all day, every day, all rookie season long. This is kind of like when Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner were both drafted by the Jets and really helped improve each other. The other thing to remember for the Cardinals, KoolAid McKinney was expected to be a top 10 pick in this draft prior to this college football season. A big reason he dropped was because Terion Arnold ended up showing out in this season with Alabama and took the cornerback one job from McKinney, which has resulted in McKinney kind of dropping in the draft. But it's not like this guy does not have the pedigree to be an elite corner in the NFL, and so don't be surprised if he gets to the NFL and is an absolute stud who could have been taken way higher, and the Cardinals would be ecstatic with this pick in that case. At number 28, I have the Buffalo Bills taking wide receiver Adon Mitchell out of Texas. This is a pick that I could see the Bills going wide receiver or defensive back, depending on what's available. I expect them to go wide receiver here in this mock draft because they need to replace Gabe Davis, who left in free agency. They do not really have a wide receiver two behind Stephon Diggs, who's going to be 32 years old, or 31 years old, I apologize, by the end of this season. And he's a guy that's had a lot of drama. He might get cut after this season if this drama continues, and he plays like he did in the second half of 2023 as opposed to like the first half of 2023 and previous seasons. And so I expect the Bills to try to start to replenish this wide receiver core, though trying to replace Tre'Davious White at corner would also make a lot of sense for the Bills. At number 29, I have the Detroit Lions taking Cooper DeJean, cornerback out of Iowa, and this is a pick that just makes way too much sense for me. I don't know if the Lions can get DeJean at 29 in the draft, but I wouldn't be surprised to see the Lions move up to take a player like this. The Lions seem to love the culture that's being cultivated in Iowa, having taken both Jack Campbell and Sam Laporta in the 2023 draft in the first and second round respectively. They spend a lot of time with Iowa guys. They know the Iowa guys, and they're in desperate need of a player at the cornerback position. This just seems like a match made in heaven, and don't be surprised to see the Lions trade up to land their guy in Cooper DeJean. At number 30, I have the Baltimore Ravens taking Jordan Morgan, offensive tackle out of Arizona. This is a guy who probably isn't first round graded, but I think the Baltimore Ravens really need an offensive tackle. I think this is a position of need for this team, especially after having traded one away to the New York Jets. And so this fit just makes too much sense. And when you're a team as good as the Ravens, you go for fit a lot more than you go for the best player available. So yeah, this might be a reach, but to me, it just makes sense for the Ravens to reach for this. At 31, I have the San Francisco 49ers taking Brian Thomas Jr. This is a guy that I expect to come into the 49ers to either immediately or eventually replace Deebo Samuel. There's been a lot of drama around Deebo Samuel wanting out of San Francisco. A lot of tweets, a lot of things him and his brother have said online and on Instagram. And so if they're going to trade him away either this season or next season or let him walk in free agency, the 49ers are absolutely a team that's going to want to have a plan in place to replace him. And so why not have that plan be selecting a first-round wide receiver? At number 32, I have the Kansas City Chiefs taking wide receiver Keon Coleman. This is a guy that has absolutely plummeted draft boards because his 40 time was only 4.61. Very slow for a traditional wide receiver. That being said, there are some slow wide receivers in the league that can do really well. I'll give you a few examples. Puka Nacua plummeted down draft boards in 2023 after he had a 4.57 40-yard time compared to Coleman's 4.61. But Puka Nacua only went out and was probably the best wide receiver in his class year one. Another guy who's a bit slower, Amon-Ra St. Brown. St. Brown had the exact same 40 time, 4.61 seconds. And look at him. He is one of the best slot receivers in the NFL. Keon Coleman fits the slot receiver role perfectly for the Chiefs and can be almost an heir apparent in the middle to Travis Kelce, who will be 35 years old by the time 2024 season ends. And as for speed for the Chiefs, well, they already signed Hollywood Brown, the ultimate speed wide receiver, to replace Tyreek Hill. So you already have that role filled. And finally, if you're thinking that the Chiefs need to make a move to win now and Coleman can't play with Kelce because they're both over-the-middle slot guys, look no further than the Detroit Lions, who have Amon-Ra St. Brown and a rookie Sam Laporta, who both ate in 2023. You can absolutely scheme to have two slot-type guys on a team be very effective. And I don't put it past Andy Reid to be able to do that if he sees what I see in Keon Coleman. That's it for my first attempt of an NFL mock draft for the 2024 NFL Draft. I'll do another one closer to the draft, and I expect that one to be very different from this one as we get more information. But at the end of the day, both these mock drafts are probably going to be way off what the actual NFL draft is because of how hard things are to predict. Either way, let me know in the comments what you thought of this mock draft. I'll see you all next time. Peace!